Okay, I'm only going to take a little section here because you've got so many little beautiful corners in your garden. You can see so many little, you know, spots that you could go and spend the whole day chilling out in, and you've got a gorgeous stretch out the back as well.
It's a good stretch here.
Holy moly, this is gorgeous. Now I should say I'm here with the very, very beautiful Mrs. Hackett. Would it be all right to call you?
Oh yeah, Mary.
Mary, there we go.
This is nice. This note.
This
That's
is lovely.
The jasmine.
Now, how long have you been here? This is a beautiful little house, and it will, you know, it's a beautiful spot because you're right by the sea and a very curious.
46 years.
46 years. Holy moly.
It's still a runner in though.
And would the garden have been one of the sort of passions from the start of that just evolved? Because it's quite a big stretch of land, so I think it took a while to get a grip on it.
Well, you might remember, Paul, years ago we had the garden right down to the back. We had an acre and a half.
Yes.
So we've sold part of it off.
Right.
Yeah, this is all redone.
Yes,
Yeah.
gotcha.
It was much bigger.
But I don't know whether it was your passion or whether it was a family thing or whether there was any.
Sort of. I was always interested in gardening. But I'm not a great gardener or anything like that. But I like flowers, and I always like to have something around the house and around the garden.
Yeah. Well, you've certainly, you know, I just know from years, I've always sort of, when I'm walking down here, you can kind of just see lots of little sort of oasis of flowers.
It's a lovely little loop way in there where you can do a barbecue.
Perfect. Yeah. And also, if anybody's been bowled, you can sit them down there. It's a good sort of, that's a nice naughty step.
This is all going off. There were lovely delphiniums and.
Well, yeah, we're at that time of year now where everyone's just about kind of at the end of their run, but you can still see the colours. You can still see a lot of the beauty that's.
There's something we don't know where it came from. Those pink.
Nice.
Lily things.
Right. Lovely.
We tried to get rid of them a few times, but they kept moving out and out.
Yeah. Well, and you've got the greenhouse too. I didn't realise that too. So you do a little bit of the.
Well, normally in about February I put in seeds and that, but I didn't this year because of myself, you know. Yeah.
Well, you were saying now you didn't. Your hands weren't great now, and you've only just really gotten back since June into full kind of swing.
Yes.
And
no, I had operations on them.
Well, the great thing about the gardens is that, you know, they can take a little bit of, like, take your foot off the pedal and let them just do their own thing for a while, and you can come back to them, and they'll be a bit wild, but they'll always have a certain kind of, you know, charm and shape, and flowers will survive quite a distance.
That bed early, like about even February, and get it cleared at that stage, it's nice then, you know.
Yeah.
You have to get at it early.
And of course, I've always loved this. Now it's almost like a second little house at the back, but then that
well, that's where Stephen is.
Right, of course. Yeah. Do you let him out often? You keep him locked in, I presume. Yeah. He wouldn't be allowed out during the daytime. I see him out occasionally on when it's when he's got a carer with him.
There's 4 empty bedrooms and he wants in there. So.
That's it. Well, I suppose that the mental thing of your own actual door and space can be very special.
Come and go. He doesn't have to say, "Mom, I'm away, Mom, I'm back." You know.
Yeah. And also, if he brings back a particularly ugly woman, you don't have to see it at. Like he can keep that to himself. You know, that'll happen too. But this is gorgeous now because there's a lot. And would Stephen be in any way inclined? I don't know if Susie or Deirdre.
Nicest. No.
He has that look, all right. Deirdre, right? Yeah, she'd have a
gardener.
Lovely. And would you have sort of I don't know whether it was early on that's what you've been here for so many years that you sort of recognised. I don't know if it's such a thing as a plan, like, well, this is what I'm going to do, or was it just sort of happens that you...
No, it just happened gradually.
Yeah.
But I had a nice garden in Blackrock as well. You know, I mean, I've always been interested in doing bits and pieces.
We'll go to the front there and just...
I'm not too well organised.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I've got to say, the colours, the sense of it being, you know, a friendly, if that's a right word to use for gardens, but it has that lovely sort of... because as I said, walking by with Max now, you just sort of notice a little burst of colour and the sense of...
Since my neighbour got rid of those big trees, this here is starting to grow. This is all lettuce along here.
Lovely. That'll be nice now.
It's doing very well, but now it's getting so much more light.
Great. Well, that makes a big difference.
It does,
there is that thing. My mom now up in Blackberry Lane, she'd have that where one of the neighbours, she's got a kind of trees that are verging on Nazi. They're so big. You know, they just have that sort of thing of being a wall of darkness. But yeah, when they're cut back, it really makes a huge difference to not only the light, but then the garden itself breathes a lot more. There's a lot more sun coming onto the plants, and it changes the landscape, you know, more than just that little cut. And I get these gorgeous flowers at the front too.
That big tree there came from Blackrock, that over there. Maybe have to try and cut it down for me.
Oh, lovely. You brought it with you, like. That's kind of nice. Isn't that? That's a lovely kind of emblem. Then.
Yes.
I do think trees, especially if they're sort of planted at certain occasions, they represent. Yeah, yeah, well that's
Very
true,
big.
that's true, they can do that too,
Yes.
but they sort of represent, it's almost like a great memory of, well, you know, if you plant something when on an occasion, just as the years go by, as they tend to fly as you get
Yes,
older, I've
yes.
noticed, that it's just great to see when you realise just how big a tree is. That gives you some idea of, this is how long we've been here.
This is how we've been here, exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's actually, Dee picked it up in Tesco's 2 years ago for 45 cents.
Wow. I think that might be marijuana. Are you
No.
sure that's...
It's a wisteria.
I'll make sure now.
It is the wisteria.
All right. Well, hysteria, I think was maybe what I was thinking. That's lovely. Yeah.
no.
45 cents. That's a bargain. Well, you know what? And here's me now. We've walked around your house, and I never once said, "Mary, Mary, how does your garden grow?" I could have easily thrown that at you, but I decided you're too classy for me to say that. Well, I got to say, beautiful garden, and well done, because it is like part of the scenery when you walk down here to the harbour. You're always going to sort of notice houses like this, but then especially when there's all these colours and all these little beautiful kind of nooks and crannies.
Yeah, and I find the stones are good, you know, now
Yeah.
got rid of all the...
It's like a nice sort of backdrop to all
Yes,
that. It sort of
yes,
lifts everything
it
up.
is,
Oh
yeah.
yeah. Well, I'll have you up. I'm up in Kindlestown, so if you're free for like an hour, even once a week, just to sort out my garden, I'd really appreciate that.
Not at all. No bother.